control.
This 3, 2, 1, 3.
Yeah, we on the scene. Pathways, building champions, living every dream.
We promoting pathways, changing every club, helping every member rise above. Education.
We got to do a little bit of a motivation check. So would you please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Jim Hatchell as he helps us get our mind together and our thinking right. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Sadie, and thank you everybody for being here tonight. I know you're not really here to hear me. You want to hear what Linda's got to say, but I'm going to do a little inspirational moment for you that I think you'll enjoy. You'll find some humor in it, and at the end, you will find some motivation. My friend and comedian, and oh, by the way, past Toastmaster, Mike Goodwin says, we only have two things to worry about in life. Are we healthy or are we sick? If we're healthy, we have nothing to worry about. But if you're sick, you only have two things to worry about. Will you get better or will you die? If you get better, you have nothing to worry about. But if you die, you only have two things to worry about. Will you go to heaven or will you go to the fiery furnace? If you go to heaven, you have nothing to worry about. But if you end up in the fiery furnace, then you only have two things to worry about. Original crispy or extra crispy? Now, I know you're probably saying, what the heck has that got to do with Toastmasters and Pathways? Well, I'm going to give you my version of that for Pathways and for Toastmasters. It's pretty simple. If you're enrolled in Pathways, you have nothing to worry about. If you haven't, you only have two things to worry about. Are you going to get started? Or are you just going to keep talking about getting started? If you do the right thing and get started, you really have nothing to worry about, because every project helps you grow into a stronger communicator and a much, much better leader. But if you don't start, you have two things to worry about. Will you stay exactly where you are, or will you spend another year watching everybody around you race past you? If you decide to grow, you have nothing to worry about. But if you keep waiting, you have two things to worry about. Will your mentor or your vice president of education gently remind you, or worse, will they show up at the next meeting with a laptop and say, hey, good news. I've already logged you into Pathways. And once they've done that and have your password, it's pretty much over. Here's the truth. Pathways isn't a mountain, it's a path. No one expects us to jump to the top of the mountain. Just take a few minutes and choose a project. Make one speech, receive one evaluation, complete one level. And one day, you'll look back and you'll realize how far you've come. In my Toastmasters journey and in my life journey, if there's something that I've learned, it's this. Nobody, and I mean nobody, accidentally becomes a great communicator. Nobody accidentally becomes a great leader. Growth doesn't just happen. I like what my mentor, John Maxwell, says. It's not what we do in a day, it's what we do daily. And we have to be intentional in those actions every day. So don't worry about all 5 levels. Don't worry about becoming a distinguished Toastmaster. Just ask yourself this simple question. What is my best next step. And here's what I know. Every distinguished Toastmaster, every championship speaker, every confident leader started with one decision, one speech, one step. One of my old mentors, Jim Rohn, says this: success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. So before I leave tonight and pass this gavel over to Linda, let me give you one more thing to worry about. If you don't start Pathways, you have two things to worry about. Either your vice president of education is going to find you, or I'm going to tell them where you are. So let's stop worrying about pathways. Let's start walking the path toward success, because becoming something better will always matter more than standing still. So let's just get started. You will never be disappointed. At this time, I'd like to pass the gavel over to Linda Rogers, DTM, who will share some valuable information that is going to help you get started and help those club members that we need to share information with get going with Pathways. Linda.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Hatchell, for that introduction and for that inspiring speech. So let's get started. Today's presentation, Getting Started, Your Roadway to Success in Pathways. This is presented by your District 213 Pathways Committee. Now, I want to say that my goal in this training is to help everyone have their light bulb moments. Today's training is for everyone in District 213, regardless of your knowledge of Toastmasters or Pathways. You could be brand new to Toastmasters, you could have been with the program for a while, but not really been working in it, or you can be experienced. But today's training is going to have light bulb moments for each one of you. You will learn things you did not know before. Today's training, we're going to talk about what Pathways is and how it is organized. For those of you new to Toastmasters International, we'll talk about how to log in to Toastmasters International's website, how to choose a path. We'll also be talking about Basecamp, what it is, and how you can find your icebreaker project. There will also be some pop quizzes, so listen carefully so you can get the answers right. Now, what is Pathways? It's simply the education program for Toastmasters International, a flexible, interactive way to develop your communication and leadership skills, stronger communication, greater self-confidence, and personal growth. But how is Pathways organized? And this is a real light bulb moment when you understand how it is organized, because it will make much more sense. We know these terms, paths, levels, projects, but it can be like going through a maze to try to fit them together, and it can just be really, really confusing. Think instead of Pathways as if you were going to Toastmasters University. You've joined Toastmasters, you joined a club, you didn't realize you were going back to school, and that Pathways is the education program for Toastmasters International. These 11 paths, 5 levels, 60+ projects become your major. 11 majors, 11 paths, 5 levels, which equate to the semester or year that you are in school. And then your projects become the classes that you are taking. So when you hear the word path, think major. When you hear the word level, think your semester or year in school. When you hear the word project, think of the classes that you will be taking. The analogy is not perfect, but it is very close, and it will really help you understand Pathways. Your paths are your specialized areas of interest. These are your majors. There are 6 current majors or paths listed across the top of this screen. There are 5 legacy paths. These are majors that used to be offered by Toastmasters International, but going forward, you cannot enroll in them anymore. If you were already enrolled in them at the time Toastmasters grandfathered them, you can finish your path, but you cannot enroll in a legacy path anymore. So you have 6 current paths, which we will think of as majors. Then think of the levels as the semester or year that you're in school. The levels increase in complexity, going from level 1 through level 5, and you are applying things you learned in lower levels to the higher levels. And all 11 paths, the 6 current and the 5 legacy paths, have the following levels. Level 1, mastering your fundamentals. Level 2, learning your style. Level 3, increasing knowledge. Level 4, building skills. And level 5, demonstrating expertise. Then you have your projects or your classes. And these are simply tasks designed to develop your leadership and speaking skills. Some of the projects apply to more than one path. Some of them apply to all of the paths. But you could be taking a class in active listening, or develop a communication plan, or leading in difficult situations, etc. Think of your projects like your classes. So let's take our first pop quiz. What I'm going to actually do, instead of launching a poll, or instead of having you put information in the chat feature, I'm just going to ask the question and then pause and then tell you the answer. And you keep score, so to speak, yourself to make sure you're understanding. How many paths are there in Pathways? And the answer is 11, 6 current, 5 legacies. Question number 2, how many levels are there in Pathways? And the answer is B, 5. Question number 3, how many projects in Pathways? And the answer is more than 60. Now, how do your paths, levels, and projects really fit together? Because that can get a little bit confusing. Each path has 15 projects. Or translate this as each major has 15 classes that you need to take. Now, each project is assigned to a level based on its complexity. Some of the projects or classes are required and some are electives. If you look at this chart on the bottom, you will see that if you are a freshman in college, you will be taking level 1 classes, mastering the fundamentals. You will have 4 required classes and 0 electives. If you're a sophomore, level 2, learning your style, 3 required, 0 electives. A junior, level 3, increasing knowledge, 1 and 2. Level 4, senior, level 4, building skills, 1 and 1. And then you are working on your graduate degree for the level 5, demonstrating expertise, 1 required, 1 elective. And then finally, you do your required path completion. So when you get done with your path, you will have done 11 required projects and 4 major projects for a total of 15 classes. The big question here that people will ask me, well, is each project unique to just one path? And the answer is no. If you had unique projects for each of the 11 paths, you'd have to have 154 different projects. And that's just too many to keep up with. Some projects only apply to one path. 6 projects apply to all the paths. Some projects apply to many paths. Some projects only apply to a handful. Some apply to more than one level, and projects can be elective in some paths but required for others. It sounds confusing at first, but think of it as if you are in school. Some classes only apply to one major. True. 6 classes apply to all the majors. Some classes apply to many majors, so on and so forth. When you think of it that way, it makes a lot more sense. It's flexible. Let's take a look at one of the current paths, Presentation Mastery. On the far right, there is a document that you can find on the Toastmasters website, and I will point that to you in a few minutes. but there is one page for each of the 11 paths, the six current paths and the 5 legacy paths. And this one page for each of the paths gives you a summary of what you're going to be doing in that particular path. This one for presentation mastery, we can see the level 1 mastering fundamentals. There are 4 required projects, 0 electives, and the required projects are icebreaker, writing a speech with purpose, introduction to vocal variety and body language, evaluation and feedback. These 4 projects are level 1 projects for all 11 paths. Everyone is doing the same thing their freshman year in college. We are all taking Math 101, English 101. When you move on to level 2, learning your style, you start to branch out a little bit. You have 3 required projects. For the presentation mastery path, they are understanding your communication style, effective body language, and introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. The last one, Intro to Toastmasters mentoring, is required for every path, all 11 of them, level 2 required project. So let's do another pop quiz. In level 1, how many projects are required and how many are elective? And the answer is 4 required, 0 elective. Level 2, same question. How many are required and how many are elective? And I already gave you the answer, 3 required, 0 electives. Which level 2 project is required in all 11 paths? The Intro to Toastmasters mentoring. And how many projects are in a path? 15. 11 required, 4 elective. A similar sort of thing happens with levels 3, 4, and 5. I'm not going to go through those in great detail, but at level 3, increasing knowledge, you will have 1 required project and you choose 2 electives from a long list. Level 4, you will also have 1 required project and you choose 1 elective from a shorter list. Level 5, 1 required project, 1 elective from an even shorter list. And finally, for everyone, you will have the path completion project, where you need to do the project called Reflect on Your Path. You cannot access the Reflect on Your Path project information until all levels 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are marked as complete in Basecamp. But Reflect on Your Path is something that everyone has to do in all of the 11 paths. To find this competencies resource document, it's a 13-page document. It's on the Toastmasters International website, but Toastmaster Debbie Thompson is also going to drop a link to that in chat. The first page talks about the 6 current paths. The second page, the 5 legacy paths. And then on the far right, there will be 1 page for each of those 11 paths that will give you more detail. In order to find that document on the Toastmasters.org site, you just follow this path: resources, resource library, pathways category, paths, and core competencies. Now, one thing I want to stress is that the word pathways and the word paths do not mean the same thing. Please do not interchange them. They do not mean the same thing. But how many of you have ever heard someone say in your club, "What pathways did you sign up for?" And I want to say, no, no, no. Even on the Free Toast Host site, it uses the word pathways wrong. Do not think these two are the same thing. Pathways is the education program. Paths are the components of this program. Another quick pop quiz. All projects are unique to a specific path. False. Projects can be elective for some paths, but required for others. True. And at path completion time, which project is required in all 11 paths? Reflect on your path. Now, in addition to our paths, we also now have some enhancements that we need to do in our paths. These are in addition to the speech projects themselves, those 15 speech projects you have for each of the paths. We have additional responsibilities now for doing meeting roles and presentations. This graphic tells you What needs to be done gives you a picture of it, so to speak. All 5 of the levels have meeting roles you need to do in your club. And then you also have to give some series presentations in levels 3, 4, and 5. This graphic is a little small for the PowerPoint, so I just want to quickly show it this way. The meeting roles and presentations enhancements only apply to the current 6 paths. If you want to do them for the legacy paths, you can, but you don't have to, but they definitely apply to the 6 current paths. Again, at all levels, you have certain meeting roles you need to do, and at levels 3, 4, and 5, you will need to do some series presentations. For instance, if you were level 3, you would need to do the Toastmaster role, be an evaluator, and be either the topics master or a table topics speaker to handle the meeting roles for level 3. The presentations at level 3, you would need to do something from the Successful Club series. You would choose from these 4 presentations, which one you wanted to do. Creating the best club climate, keeping the commitment, meeting roles and responsibilities, or going beyond our club. Toastmaster Debbie Thompson is also going to drop another link into chat pointing to a document put out by Toastmasters International, which also talks about these extra enhancement requirements. Now, another pop quiz. The meeting roles and presentation series enhancements do not apply to the legacy paths. That is true, they do not. All 5 levels have meeting role requirements. Yes, they're different at each of the levels, but they do have requirements. One of the Successful Club series presentations must be done at all 5 levels. No, levels 1 and 2 do not have any presentations that need to be done. And finally, something we did not talk about. I do not have to use the Toastmasters International's provided slides for any of the presentation series. That is true. You do not need to use their slides. You can create your own. You could not even use slides if that works best for you too. You just need to present that presentation material in a way that works for you. Now, moving on to part 3. Let's log into Toastmasters International. If you are brand new to Toastmasters, you just joined, you're going to get an email from them, and in there will be a Get Started link. You click on that, you will be taken to the Toastmasters homepage. And if you're not brand new to Toastmasters, you already know you can go to the Toastmasters.org website. The goal here is to log in. So you click on the login button at the top, and you will reach the login page. Now, what some people are confused about is you need to use the email address to log in that you used on your membership application. If you have 4 email addresses, remember which one you used for Toastmasters because that's the one you need to use here. If this is your first time, you will want to create a password and follow the prompts, etc. for that. If it's not your first time, you'll simply fill in your email and password. Once you have successfully logged in, it will say, welcome, your first name at the top. In my case, welcome Linda. You then go down, So that's how you log into Toastmasters International. Fairly straightforward. Now we're going to choose a path. Before we do, I want to talk about how much paths cost. The first path is included as part of your Toastmasters membership. When you pay your Toastmasters membership fee to join for the first time ever, you get 1 free path. But subsequent paths will cost you $35 each. It used to be $20, but at the beginning of this month, it was raised to $35. And something that some people do not know is you can be working in multiple paths simultaneously if you would like to. You cannot work in the same path twice concurrently, but you can be working in all 6 of the current paths, or if you signed up for all 5 of the legacy paths too, you could be working in all of those concurrently. Now, how do you actually choose a path for the first time? Or if you're wanting to get a second or third path, you would log in, you would go down to My Education and Achievements. Then click on Learning Hub. Under Learning Hub, choose My Learning. Then choose your language and choose how you want to select your path. You have two options. If you already know what you want to do, you can just sign up for it directly. But if you want to take their assessment and answer some questions to help determine what you might want to do, then you would take the path assessment. We're going to look at both of those options. First, let's just view all learning. When we choose that option, we will then get a page that lists all 6 of those current paths, and you decide which one you want to look at. Persuasive influence. You choose that. You will come to a page that looks like this. At the bottom, it will list all of the required projects for each of those 5 levels in that path. Then if you expand the electives at the bottom and you scroll up, although we're going to scroll right on this screen, then you look at your elective project options and it will list all of those for levels 3 and 4 and 5. If this is something you want to get, you click Select Persuasive Influence, or you click the back button. It will say $35, but if this is your first path, it will not charge you. Now, going back to another way you can choose your path, if you want to take a path assessment, you will be asked 30 questions. Question number 1, select 3 topics. Question number 2, which of the following most relates to the goals that brought you to Toastmasters? Question number 24, I'm comfortable with using humor. You will answer 30 questions. And then it will come back and show you this previous screen that we saw earlier, but the paths that it recommends will have a little star in the upper right-hand corner. You choose one of those, Visionary Communication, and you get a similar screen that we had earlier with Dynamic Leadership, where your required projects will be listed, and then you can expand on the electives, and it will show you what the elective projects are for that particular path. You can select it, or you can go back. And this is how you select your path. Now, if you choose a path and then you go, oops, I didn't mean to do that one, I changed my mind 3 days later or something, then it can be exchanged for another current path. The exchange has to be done within 30 days, no questions asked. Nothing can have been completed in the undesired path. You cannot have worked in it for 3 weeks and been marking things as complete, etc. Don't do any of that. You have to send an email to supplyorders@toastmasters.org saying, here's the path I have, here's the one I really want, but you can only do this one time. This is not a case where you said, oh, I didn't like the second one I chose, now I want a third one. It doesn't work like that. It's one and done, but you can exchange your path within 30 days at no cost. Moving on. What is Basecamp? Because we hear the words Pathways and Basecamp a lot. Pathways is the education program. Basecamp is the online system used to administer that program. This is where you will find the details about your path, about all the projects within that. You will be able to watch videos, look at interactive transcripts, all sorts of things in order to understand what that project is all about. That is what Basecamp is. But how do you find the Icebreaker project in Basecamp? And you would do a similar sort of thing to find any of your projects in Basecamp. First, we need to log into Toastmasters International. Then you go to My Education and Achievements and click on Go to Basecamp. When you do, you will be brought to a page that looks like this that will list anything you've already signed up for. In my case, you can see I've signed up for the Pathways Mentor Program. I'm enrolled in the Engaging Humor and Team Collaboration and Dynamic Leadership paths. And because I am in Engaging Humor, it also puts out a story collection icon on here. One thing that some people do not know, and this may be your aha moment, is that current paths will have a dark blue background, whereas legacy paths will have a burgundy background. But let's take a look at how we go find the Icebreaker project in one of the current paths for dynamic leadership. We select this path, and we come to a page that looks like this, where it lists our levels. We can expand and contract those levels, but you go to the upper right-hand corner, you click on Start, or maybe it will say Resume if you've been in here before, and it brings up on the far left side all the information about that particular level. And we see level 1, Mastering Fundamentals, and we have a page on Mastering Fundamentals. We may need to scroll. Some of these pages are long, and you'll need to scroll to see all the information. If we then want to look at the checklist and completion, we choose that one. We get the checklist and completion page. Then we see that for level 1 are 4 required projects: Icebreaker, Writing a Speech with Purpose, Introduction to Vocal Variety and Body Language, Evaluation and Feedback. Our Icebreaker. And then we expand that, and you would scroll down on your far left, but for the purpose of this particular PowerPoint presentation, you would then see, when you looked at it, all of the things that have been expanded. You would have getting started, doing your speech, after your speech, reflecting on your learning. When you choose the Icebreakers project, you will get to a page that says, oh, this is one of 14. Just follow the instructions. Just scroll down, click on the forward button, the backward button, the next, the return, whatever, and just go through and look at everything that's in there. Look at the videos, look at the documents, answer the questions. But this will lead you through everything that needs to be done. Now, this is for your current path. Let's go back here and look at the team collaboration path, which is a legacy path, because people are still working in legacy paths. And let's take a look at what Basecamp looks like, because it's a little bit different. We get to it the same way, but when we actually get into that particular legacy path, it will look the same here. We say start or resume, depending upon what shows at the top. It will bring us to something similar here on the left, but when we hit Icebreaker, it looks a little bit different for this first page. And what I want to emphasize is that you need to work in full screen. If you don't say full screen, you won't see all the options that there are for the legacy paths in Basecamp. When you click on full screen and you get into the first page, you will see that there's a directions section. When you click on this upwards arrow, it will give you directions for going forward and back, clicking on the arrows, etc. When you want to jump around to move between sections within your Icebreaker project, or any of the projects in Basecamp for the legacy paths, you click on Select to move between sections. It will pull up or drop down something that looks like this. And when you click on any of these individual things, it will take you directly to that part in Basecamp for the Icebreaker project. This concludes the actual presentation for getting started, your roadway to success in pathways. And now it's time for questions and answers. I'm going to ask Toastmaster Lorraine Jackson what questions we have.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rogers. We do have 3 questions. The first question comes from Toastmaster Wayne Caffarel. He asked,
I'm sorry, Lorraine, before we go into questions, we're showing Linda some love now. Can we just show her some more love for that wonderful presentation? Really an excellent job. And I know she has many answers to your questions. I'm sorry for the interruption, but I just
No
could not
problem.
let that moment go by. Thank you, Linda. Okay, it's all yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sadie, an excellent presentation, Toastmaster Linda. Again, our first question comes from Toastmaster Wayne Caffarel. He asks, if a member has completed all education and leadership manuals, will this still be used towards a DTM?
Your voice went out in the middle of the question. Could you please repeat that?
Okay. If a member has completed all education and leadership manuals in the legacy program, can this still be used towards a DTM?
I'm going to answer that, but I'm also going to defer to Toastmaster Debbie Thompson. My understanding was that since 2018 and on, that you needed to, that working in the legacy system with the competent communication manuals, etc., no longer counted when the Pathways program was fully implemented. Your service does, serving as a club officer, those sorts of things, but the actual speeches and things that you did do not carry forward into Pathways. Did I understand the question correctly? Debbie, do you have anything you want to say?
It sounds like it. I think using legacy may be confusing here because this is pre-legacy. This is back when before Pathways. And Linda, that is correct. They gave us a 2-year grace period in order to finish our education portion. As Linda said, some of the district leadership, officer, those kind of things do translate into Pathways now. But education, we had 2 years to finish that up, and that is no longer available.
And I think, Debbie, wasn't that called the traditional system? And then we moved into Pathways. Yeah.
I think so, right.
Thank you. I hope that answers your question, Wayne. A second question comes from Jen Moore. Jen indicates she is currently in 2 different districts. She wants to know, can she share these special events or Zoom meeting with the other district? She's in 2 districts. Can she share these special events or Zoom meetings with the other district?
I would defer that question to Toastmaster Sadie Bispham.
Thank you so much for that. I personally do not see why you cannot invite someone to attend a training session. We're having this training on Pathways on this date and time. Here's our Zoom link. We'd love for you to join us. And I'm just going to reflect it back to you all. How many of you in the audience, and you can put something in the chat, have received an invitation from a district about some training going on that you took advantage of? I see a head, someone shaking their head. Okay, Ron, you got your hand up. Have you received invitations? So my answer is yes, you can in fact share it. I do understand that our PQD director, Larry McClellan, DTM, is on the call. And I'd just like to say, Larry, do you differ with me on that, that it's okay to share great training with others?
Greetings, team, and everyone. Yes, absolutely. We're all Toastmasters. If they're a member of another Toast.
Okay, thank you so much. You good with that, Jen?
Not hosting it, but the region is saying that if there's a TLI training that they could go to, then hey, the PQDs make that happen with the coordination and then the credit, getting the credit for it. So let's follow that. That's the same standard.
Okay, thank y'all.
Welcome.
Great, thank you. Our next question is from Toastmaster Mallory Williams. She asks, can level 1, our freshman year project credit, be applied to more than one path if doing 2 or more simultaneously? Again, the question is, can level 1, our freshman year project, be applied to more than one path if doing 2 or more simultaneously?
My understanding is no. And I've had people say, why do I need to do the icebreaker project again? I've already done it. I've signed up for a second path. Why should I do it again? And my response is always, why not? you have something else you can share with your Toastmaster members in your club. Your icebreaker project, for instance, a lot of people think, oh, I'm introducing myself to the club and now I've introduced and I'm done. But I've given an icebreaker project 3 times and they are all different speeches because when we have topics we want to talk about, we can write a speech about it. An icebreaker doesn't have to be a chronological account of your life. It can be, here's what I'm doing right now, how I'm spending my time and my energy. I even listened to an icebreaker speech project one time where the man talked the entire time about his wife and how much he loved her and how important she was to him. So you can talk about anything. So my understanding is that when you do those projects, they only apply to one project in one path. You cannot take the same speech and get credit in multiple places for having done that speech one time.
Excellent, thank you. Our next question comes from Toastmaster Teresa Watley. She wants to know, can this presentation be sent to us so that we can share this information with our club members? Can this presentation be shared with us?
I would defer again back to Sadie Bispham. I do know we are recording this and we will be putting the recording out on the District 213 YouTube channel. I'm a little fuzzy myself right now where that exactly is, but it will be out there. You will be able to find it by looking at the D213 website and looking at the Pathways section on that. But I will also defer to Sadie Bispham if she's got something else to add.
I completely agree with what you've said, Linda, that the information will be, number one, on the District 213 Pathways page. The first thing you're going to see is a button that's all about getting started. And in that will be links to all our on-demand training. So right now, when can you expect to get this? Give us at least a week because we're getting our rhythm and we're working with our wonderful PRM manager and helping us get this done. But I'm looking at that time frame narrowing down tremendously. But the long of and short of it is, yes, 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 you will be able to access this training, and the access point is going to be the District 213 website, the Pathways, and the YouTube channel. We're just working through the details. But I can do you one better than that. As soon as this training is available, how about we just send an email through our division liaison saying the training video is now available. We can do that.
Thank you for those responses. Our next question comes from Club VPE, Toastmaster Anthony Toastmaster Anthony. Do members have to complete their own projects in base camp, or can someone on the executive council sign that off in base camp?
I do not know the answer to that question. Someone else on the team know?
I know I have actually, as BPE in many clubs, I have actually logged into Zoom and helped them walk through doing it themselves. I really don't see an issue with you helping someone who is not technical, helping them with it. And I think that's a great way to show them possibly. If they don't have a computer, then I think you just really have to work. Well, you'd have to work with them to see how you can get that project completed in Basecamp, because that is where you officially mark everything complete, and that's how they know you have credit for it. But I've helped someone on Zoom before. They just walk through it and we do it together, and then they can do it the next time themselves or get help too.
It looks like Wayne has his hand up.
The member has to complete the project online, and then the Basecamp manager or VPE or one of the other club officers has to go in and approve the level being completed. They have to do it themselves.
Thank you, Wayne, for that clarification. Our next question comes from Toastmaster Samara Toledo. She wants to know, are the vintage paths the same as the legacy paths? And if they are not, do the vintage paths count towards a DTM?
The vintage paths are not the same as the legacy paths. It's actually something new that has been offered by Toastmasters. And I'm going to toss that question to Toastmaster Debbie Thompson, who's more up on this information. Debbie?
Thank you, Linda. So the vintage paths, no, are not the same as what we're calling legacy paths. Vintage paths are brand new. They've just come out and been released from Toastmasters International. We actually have a presentation coming up, and we have a video recording of the vintage paths and how they work. They have the same format that all of the paths that Linda just went over. They have 5 levels. The vintage paths do not have the enhancements, so those additional roles and those additional presentations are not part of vintage paths. They are meant to be speeches only. The vintage, it's 2 different paths, vintage, and then it's called communication series. That is what, and I don't want to answer too much here because we have a presentation coming up on the vintage paths because it is brand new. But yes, it does count toward a DTM. You have the same levels. You complete a level 1 in your vintage path. That counts toward your DCP goals. You can, when you complete a path, you have to complete 2 paths for DTM. You can count these vintage paths as your paths when you complete them. So yes, it very smoothly rolls into your DCP reports and your DTM.
Thank you. Toastmaster Ruth Caproni has an interesting question. She wants to know, how do other clubs support members who do not have access to a computer or limited computer skills? Trying to do this on a phone is a trial, especially if you have 80-year-old eyes.
I have never had that situation myself. Has anyone else on the team? I could take a stab at it if no one else has.
I have
Go ahead, Debbie.
I was just going to say, I've actually heard of clubs that assign a technical mentor to people who are not, technically advanced or maybe even don't have a computer. I've actually heard of someone who, an officer who met a person at the library and used that computer to log in and teach them and show them things. So I think they're different. There's not a one stopping with this, but you have to figure out for that member what's the best way to do it. And it may be that you meet at a library or you meet at some place that has availability of a laptop, and you can help walk them through that.
PK has her hand up. Did you want to weigh in on that?
Yes, what I have done for people in this situation, because what I've done, when you get down close to to like slide 13 in your Pathways progression, the same slide that has the link to download the evaluation resource also has a link to download the project. And it is a PDF manual of the complete project. So you download it. God forbid you don't have to print it off. But even then, if you have to print it off, at least all you have to do is bring it up on your own computer. But I have downloaded that, sent it to them, and ask them to share it with their grandson or whoever is helping them and have him print it off for them or let them read it. But that manual is always available in every project.
Well, what's the name of the manual again, Toastmaster PK?
When you go to the same slide, as you're working in your path, when you get toward the end of the set of slides, the one that has the link where you can download your resource or your evaluation resource. Right under it is a link that says download the project.
Yeah.
And what it is a PDF version of a manual. And I checked even, yes, it was true in the legacy, not, legacy paths, but it's also true in the current paths. You can still download that project. So if you just quickly flick through your slides on a given project or their given project, it's like slide 13 or 14 toward the end. The same place they can download the resource, the evaluation resource, they can download the project.
Now, they would still have to go into Basecamp in order to complete the path and mark it complete.
Yes.
But I also think that the vintage paths are meant for some of our seniors that it is just speeches. If our seniors don't want to do a project plan and they don't want to lead a team and they don't want to have an event, the vintage paths are both, one has roles, but the other one is just speeches. So I think that would be something that some of our seniors really telling their stories would help them instead of having a lot of leadership projects.
Thank you.
We have time for one more question.
Thank you both.
Okay, one more question. This is from a club president, Toastmaster Gunter, who will not be able to attend any of the TLIs due to work commitments. He wants to know what are the steps necessary to attend a TLI in another district.
I'm going to defer that question to Toastmaster Sadie Bispham.
Well, thank you for deferring it, ma'am. I got it in my court. There will be information that will come out from the Program Quality Directors team. That's Dr. Larry McClellan. It'll say, number one, we have got a TLI that's coming up on July the 25th, and it's going to be online. And if you can't make that, here is the makeup date. And then once the date for the main one and the makeup have come and gone, but everyone hasn't attended, then there's opportunities to attend a TLI outside of the district, and that information will be given. Now, it's not given in advance because, of course, we want you to take advantage of our 213 TLIs and makeup. But the overall objective is for everyone to attend it. So once our dates have passed, then they will make known when the other districts are hosting TLIs so that you can make sure to attend that. I hope I got all that right there. Did that answer the question? I was a little bit long-winded. I'm trying to keep it concise. Did it help out?
I believe so. I think it absolutely did. If you don't mind, I would like to just ask this last question because I think a lot of people, especially if they're brand new, hear all of these letters P, Q, D, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and they don't know what it means. So can we have a member who can explain that to them or where they can find it? And that is from Toastmaster Banks.
One concise document that tells every acronym you ever wanted to know. I like something that you said. Will you pick it up in time? Yes, you will. Some of these acronyms we use, DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster. You're going to start picking that up. PQD, Program Quality Director. DD, District Director. But in the club leadership book that is available, when it talks about different roles, be it president, and they have different acronyms that are used, they're expounded upon. But if I had to just give a Sadieism on this, I'd say you're just going to pick up a lot of it as you go along. I don't know per se if there's one concise document everything you wanted to know about initials and then some. You will pick them up more than and quicker than you think you will. Anyone else want to chime in? And if you have a sheet or a document that you've used in the past, just get educated on this magical language, because for the longest time as a new member, I had no clue what DTM meant. Or I don't even think I was interested really, but I didn't know what it meant. Anyone? All right. Well, this concludes our question and answer. Thank you so very much for your questions. Now, we need your feedback. And I know feedback is something that Toastmasters is all about. We give a speech. How do I do? Am I improving? Am I growing? What can I do to get better? Well, we have those same questions here on the committee. What can we do? How was this training for you? Can you get started? Did it help? Was it too much? Was it the right mixture? What would you like to see more of? Your feedback will help us in our next presentation. So you're seeing right now a QR code. In addition to that, you're seeing a hyperlink underneath it. Would you please? 6 questions. Not tough, but your feedback that will certainly help us tremendously. And we appreciate it very much if you would take the time to give it.
And the link is also in the chat.
And the link is also in the chat. Thank you so very much. The last thing I'd like to invite you to is our monthly training schedule, and this will also be available on the District 213 Pathways website. We are taking on a format somewhat like you see tonight, where the first month is a designated topic, getting started in pathways. But the next month being August, it's Ask Me Anything questions. And we did a little bit of that tonight, but that session is coming up on August the 7th. Any question you have about pathways and what will make that work so much better, the 17th, is to submit the questions in advance. But we're going to get some information out to you on how to submit that. So the next session from the Pathways Committee is Ask Me Anything about pathways. All right. And then, of course, in September, our website will be up, running. So we definitely want to get you familiar with that. So this whole training schedule, designated training, Ask Me Anything, designated training, Ask Me Anything, is our progression for right now. Thank you so very much for your time tonight, your interactions, your great questions. And it is my sincere hope, along with the team, that you have left more enlightened than when you came. Thank you so very much.
Step up to the